I don't know what the most hilariously out-of-date video game title of all time is, but Totally Rad is definitely up there. Originally called Magic John in Japan, this NES game from Jaleco may have been popular with the critics back in 1990, but it's largely been lost to time. That's a shame, because this action platformer is a lot of fun and has a surprisingly satisfying conclusion. Turn back now if you don't want to know what happens next, because today we're gonna spoil the story and ending for Totally Rad on the Nintendo Entertainment System. This is Game Over, the early years. This is the totally rad story of a most unprecedented regular dude, a very righteous babe, and a gnarly old magician who used to live in a most bodacious spread inside the San Andreas vault. No, I'm not channeling my inner Bill and Ted, this is word for word the way the story starts in the instruction manual. And it doesn't stop. For what is a fairly straightforward platformer, Totally Rad has 5 pages of story. All written in an annoying and repetitive meta surfer bro style that meanders, gets sidetracks, and even takes a break at one point. To summarize, Jake is a regular guy with a cool girlfriend named Alison. Apparently Jake meets this weird old dude named Zebediah who claims to be able to do real magic. Not like the bogus crap you see at birthday parties, but like time standing still and humans turning into animals. And just like Shazam, this old dude gives these powers to Jake, who Zebediah trains by making him run laps. And just when it seems like Jake can't possibly give any more, enemies from the underworld attack, and our adventure starts. This is Jake's first opportunity to use his powers, and he makes the most out of it. He fights off the bad guys with an energy beam that comes out of his hands and pulls off the kind of acrobatic stunts you see in comic books. It's only after defeating the bad guys that he realizes that Alison has been captured, and Zebediah seems to think that she's been taken to the Big Top Circus tent. This gives us a chance to see just how prepared these underworld demons really are. These guys have a full carnival setup, complete with lights, balloons, and fire pits. Alison isn't here, but this nasty boss with robotic legs and high heels certainly is. Neither the boss nor the Big Top had the missing girlfriend, so Jake returns back to town to investigate. He uses his magic to follow the demons into the sewer, where he ends up coming face to face with this nasty one-eyed boss. We shoot his eye a few times, and guess who decides to show up? It's Alison! So apparently there's this powerful force from the underworld known as Edigy, and he's found his way into our reality in an effort to take over California. To do that, Edigy needs to capture Alison's father, who is a professor and the smartest man on the West Coast. Unfortunately for the antagonist of the piece, Alison's dad is always near the Hollywood freeway, and despite being a magical demon from the underworld, Edigy can't get close to the Hollywood freeway. So he decides to kidnap Alison in a last-ditch effort to lure the father away from the freeway. This plan worked, which means that Jake and Alison will need to work together in order to find Edigy and win back her dad. Alright, now they're all caught up, it's time to fight past the waterfall and take a swim into the depths in an effort to kill this ugly fish. This leads to the conveniently located cavern system that not only takes us to the next boss, but right to Edigy's base. The problem is that Jake is on his own. Zeb has taught him everything he knows, so the last thing he needs to do is fight through this Vincent van Gogh-inspired fortress to find the demon they call Edigy. We find him, and he reveals that Zebediah is an exile from the underground empire and was once just like Edigy. This leads to an epic fight against a superpowered knight that is at least 5 times Jake's size. As unlikely as it seems, our hero comes out on top, and here's what happens next. Yeah, this is a weird ending, but I like how much time they devote to the character stuff. Everybody gets a moment in this ending, and it's neat to see Jake and Alison actually bonding over something. So often in games, we're simply told that couples have good chemistry, but at least they make the effort here to show us that in this game. That said, I never got the feeling that Jake was in tune with Alison's emotions, and kinda comes across as a jerk throughout the entire game. I'm just going to assume that's because he's a teenage boy. Also, what's with all this talk about the Hollywood freeway? It's mentioned no fewer than 7 times in the instruction manual, and that's just in 2 paragraphs. The only time it's mentioned in this game is at the end, and you gotta admit its placement is very odd. I don't know, I like this ending, but it's a little off-putting. Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Game Over, The Early Years. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new episodes of Game Over every Monday. Now here's the question I have for you. What game has the worst title of all time? This is a broad question that can go a number of directions, so I can't wait to see your picks in the comments below. In other news, I'm currently hard at work on a bunch of reviews, including Elevator to the Moon, Velocity G, Xenon Racers, Streets of Rad, and more. So much more. In the meantime, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.